Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal. I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security cameras. And the detective's ID card? I stole that morning of the incident. So that's really why Goodman started filling out the lost item report. I returned his card. I left it on the floor of the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall, so essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguised yourself, you can't change fingerprints. Yeah, it was dumb luck that he was able to open it. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could because a rubber glove had just happened to get stuck in the door. So the question is, was that planned ahead of time, or was that coincidence? That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. Actually, you know what? The fingerprint reader could be set to read multiple fingerprints. Because here's the thing. I just want to double check this first before I talk about it. Bruce Goodman only entered that evidence locker once that day, and this was evidence transferal day, so he didn't go there that day. I mean, he couldn't, his ID was stolen, right? But there is a 7777777. Yeah, there's the guy with 7 sevens, which we think might be Gant. If he's got a number, like a detective number like that, all 7s, surely he has like a master key to all the evidence lockers. He is the chief after all. He should be able to open all the lockers. Maybe he did that and set it up so that Marshall here could then go and get it later. Yeah, he got him with the stolen ID. He stole the ID from Bruce Goodman, and then at some point Bruce Goodman was murdered and has ended up at the prosecutor's office at the same time as he was going into this locker to, as he says, pull out all the evidence from the SL9 case, which, even though it was solved and they put the guy to death who did it, and they're sure they got the right man, they did so dubiously. Something was wrong with the case. So that's what he's saying now is what he did. He went there specifically to take all the evidence out. Thing is, he missed the glove, but it dropped on the floor. He may have forgotten to pick it up. This knife was taken out though, and it was wrapped in our accused's scarf and stuffed into the into the muffler of Edgeworth's car, but that could have been done after the car was parked up. Same as how he said he returned Goodman's ID and the shoe as well, I guess, to the crime scene later. Alright, so he wasn't expecting Meekins, he knocked him out. How did he know Goodman at the parking lot when he returned the ID? Well, I mean, everybody heard about the murder, so maybe he then rushed there to put the ID back. He could be just doing that to cover his own arse so he doesn't get charged with evidence tampering. And now this is a slippery slope, or he might be involved in this whole thing. I still think that Goodman was killed to frame Edgeworth, and it's all gone horribly wrong. But the fact that everyone else who's involved in this, including one of the witnesses testifying against Lana Skye, is also a former detective from this case, it's very fishy. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to show his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Yeah, how does a public prosecutor determine how much cops get paid? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry I had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Meekins out, and what happened in the SL9 case? So we got the case file actually. So one of the things that happened in the SL9 case, this was from 2 years ago. And 2 years ago to the day that the Bruce Goodman was murdered, it was a serial killing case. The perpetrator turned out to be a guy called Joe Dark, and they gave him the death sentence. He killed these 6 people. Notice this name here in the bottom right, Neil Marshall. And this detective's name is Jake Marshall. This is why he keeps being insistent, I think. This is why he says this is my case. But it wasn't really his case. Miles Edgeworth, the guy who's currently prosecuting, was the head prosecutor for the trial. This was his first big trial, and Lana Skye was his boss, still is, but she was a witness, as was her sister, Ema. And then the executive investigator was Damon Gant and Lana Skye as well, the prosecutor. Damon Gant is now the chief, but he might have been the deputy chief back then. And the head investigator was Bruce Goodman. And supporting him was Jake Marshall and Angela Starr. That's about as much as we know, though. Alright, so he managed to escape in new areas they wouldn't be caught on the camera. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think I would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in the struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't a murder in the evidence room. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What, are you blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. Supporting what I just said about the guy with 7 sevens. Goodman couldn't have removed that evidence. The guy with 7 sevens did, which would be Gant, I imagine. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Well, we already have some pieces. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Not in the court. No. You have to answer. Your right to remain silent does not extend to a trial. That's it. We do have some evidence. Yes, we have bits of it. And besides, he just said all the evidence was missing, but he might not have seen the glove drop. That was definitely in there. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offence. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. I can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are a valid solution, although that's the least of his problems. Like I said, this ain't your case, this one is mine. I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? Okay. But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is that he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there is something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial, something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know, that's what I'm trying to find out. Okay. Why is he so concerned with the incident? Maybe I should press him what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files. But I think we need to point out the name of the other marshal there. So if we object, is that how we do this? How does the game want me to actually do this then? We point out Neil Marshall. That could be a way. So if I press, we're just going to get the same... Actually, no, because in the past we've pressed again and gotten a different response, right? But that's always been on a different piece of text. Back. Let's try pressing this one again. This has happened in the past. Yeah, it's the same text as before. Let's try pressing again, just to be sure. Yep. This is still the same. Oh, I should present him with what I think his real reason is, right. Okay, yeah, so we have to present... Quite literally, that's the clue. Let's go to the last thing, and we will present the files and say that page number 2 is the key evidence. Poor edgy boy, yeah. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file right here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. It's a list of the murderer's victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. Oh, one of the victims was a prosecutor? What? Oh, this is going to come around to how the trophy broke, isn't it? Ah, I bet this is going to be the story of how the trophy broke now. Because nobody wanted to talk about it. What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutor Award. Now I remember, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. So he was killed. The case fell into your hands. What's his relation to you? He was My brother. Oh wait, this is his hair. I thought this was like some kind of, you know, thingy, like a hood that's underneath the hat, you know, just to keep the neck clean, or not clean, you know, with the sun off the neck and stuff. I thought it was like one of those hats that has curtains in it, whatever they're called. That's his actual hair. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. There we go. So he was the Deputy Chief. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. He looks like a murderer, doesn't he? Joe Dark. My brother found Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. That would be a piece of the trophy, maybe? He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed, at least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There is more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day of the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the entered the evidence room. Then Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day, but still, the amount of blood that was on the floor. And the fact that that shoe must have been dipped in that blood means that Goodman might have very well been in that room. He might not have swiped his card to get in, he could have gone in with someone else, but he was in the room. Things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At the exact time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, the fake murder was going on in the police department, and it was all a coincidence. So it wasn't even an attempt to create confusion. So why did the chief bring this up to us to begin with? It's so weird that Chief Gant actually brought all this to our attention as the case was about to wrap up, and he gave Lana Skye a bit of a breathing chance. Things are just getting deeper? Nice. Chance, it's got to be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one, which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. Bullshit, but wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today, but there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. That yet remained a mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye, and the testimony, the one of Miss Angel Star, is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Ah! There we go. I rest my case. It seems the trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. Yeah. Smug arsehole. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder of the security camera tape really was fake. But I didn't realise that I would end up proving Lana's guilt. It still kinda doesn't. Now it's time for the verdict. Has arrived. This court finds the defendant There it is again. Hold it! Someone else has barged. Oh god, Ema's here. Your Honor, wait. She just literally pushed Marshall out of the way and took the stand. Ema, the defense has an objection, a scientific objection, right? What do you mean, Wright? Besides, you're supposed to be standing over here with me if you're the defense. Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking for is a minute of your time. You've reached another save point? Nice. Please, hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Wow, he's feeling so generous today. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now she mentions it. The names of both Sky sisters were in that file. She didn't know the code number of the case, which she just heard SL9. She just knew it as the Joe Dark killings. But she only just knew this morning, like, oh my god, this is related? But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day, so I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Yeah, because he wouldn't have needed to touch that locker. That's a good point. And he didn't have bloody handprints. We did kind of forget all about that. Who was leaving bloody handprints in that locker room? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? Please tell me she did a blood test and it turns out... What? No. Okay. Huh? Sorry. I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright. You're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regards to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Yes, because who left it? Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry. I can't be of any more use, but still. If you can find anything wrong with the blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. You don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. I've never needed to concentrate. Now. What could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? I mean, the simple fact that there was no fingerprint at all could be it. That was the one found on Marshall's locker. We don't know if there was one here, do we, look? Because it's covering up where the handprint is. Is it fake blood? Possibly, but what would that prove? We need to know where it's going before we can throw it out there. I mean, obviously I object is what we're supposed to say. I just don't know what it would be. See where it goes. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. It is a right hand, by the way. It's a right handprint when we look at it. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Wouldn't Meek have noticed if there was a blood print? That is potentially true, and so would Marshall. So when was that print left there? It'd have to have been left there after the crime. Yes, this is strange. Take a look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that when drawn will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing from the floor plans? Well, I mean, that isn't listed in the floor plan, is it? Could be that. Which hand did she cut? We don't know. She's got gloves on. There was the jar as well. We know that's got nothing at all to do with it. See, this is our map. Try the blue badger. Maybe, but what does that prove? It doesn't prove anything. All it does is say, well, so what? It's not there. It's got nothing at all to do with the case, right? You see, our floor plan shows more information. I wonder if it's this. Because wasn't Meek also hurt on his hand? Yeah, his left hand was cut. I mean, that says it was allegedly dancing in the evidence room at the time of the murder at the PD, but we know that wasn't a murder now. There is a handprint on there. You just finished trial day 3. Good stuff. The clue is in the video. I mean, I wouldn't like to say that we can see there's no handprint there, because... Can we? Hang on a minute, which... Am I looking? Yeah, I am looking at the right one, aren't I? Yeah, it is the last locker. I don't know what it's pointing at. And yes, the blue badger was there, but what the heck does this prove in the long term? You know, that there's a problem with the handprint because the blue badger's not in the thing. Why is that a problem? You have a hunch, but I'm afraid you'll be right and spoil it.